Hi all, let me introduce myself. I'm Wolo Paulus Riwu Kaho, supervised by Mrs. Amelia Wulansari. I'm from School of Business and Management Institut Teknologi Bandung, and today I'm going to present my final project with the title of The Effect of Product Innovation on Purchase Intention in MSME's Culinary Industry with Gen Z Segmentation. First thing first, these are the table of contents. Jump to the first chapter. For the research background, I researched this topic because based on the picture and the table, it shows that the pandemic shook the country's stability, which gave Indonesia an overview of the needs of a sector that is capable of supporting the economy. But based on the data, the F&B industry is one of the biggest contributors to GDP because it has a high number of enthusiasts, seller and buyer. However, the high number of enthusiasts and the ease of setting up the business do not guarantee this industry to be free from the risk of bankruptcy. Because of that, companies need innovation to be able to win from competition and adaptation to the trend. So the sales will stabilize as a result of success in attracting purchase intention. However, in some cases, innovation doesn't always succeed and can make MSMEs experience loss because it requires a lot of money. Therefore, this study was conducted so that innovation can provide benefits for MSMEs, especially in increasing purchase intention. Next, in the problem statement, it is stated that ideally, innovation product affects purchase intention. But actually, innovation product doesn't always affect purchase intention. The difference in the result of the studies raises a question about does product innovation affect purchase intention and the right way on how to do product innovation so it can affect purchase intention. To fill in the gap, the researchers formulate two research questions with the objective as seen on the slide. And the next is Chapter 2, Literature Review. To make the innovation become successful, the studies made by Sutisna and Husseini stated that there are two factors to make it successful. First is creation that talks about creating a product that includes a value, rarity, imitability, and organization. Second is deployment that talks about the company's effort to commercialize the product that includes launch timing, licensing, and compatibility, pricing, distribution, and marketing. Based on that studies, these are the basic conceptual framework that I choose because it is a combination that includes various independent variables from several previous studies. But to be more specific to the culinary industry, researchers do preliminary studies by interviewing 21 respondents, and the answer becomes the new dimension, namely taste, appearance, and portion on creation factor, then branding and customer service in the deployment factor. So we can see in the picture that there are 14 hypotheses to be checked. Next, talking about methodology, these are the research design of this research, starting from problem statement until conclusion and recommendation. And this research uses a quantitative approach to explain causation and testing hypothesis. Talking about data collection, especially population and sample, this research shows two big cities, namely DKI Jakarta and Bandung in Indonesia, as the population with the total sample is a minimum of 200 respondents. The technique used is non-probability sampling with the type of quota sampling with the criteria as shown on the slide. Then to collect the data, the researchers use a questionnaire because the data becomes homogeneous and can collect large amount of data and respondents can answer freely. After the data is collected, the researchers use several tests to analyze the data. The first step is validity and reliability test, and then the second test is multicollinearity test, normality, and heteroscedasticity test. And after passing all the tests, researcher will use multiple linear regression or MLR that includes R square, F test, and t-test to test all of the hypotheses and to answer the research questions. Entering the data analysis. As seen on the slide, these are the respondent profile of this research. From gender, the majority is male by 58.2%, and from age, the top three majority is 22 years old, 21 years old, and 23 years old. It is in line with the top two occupations, namely students and employee. And then from the domicile, the majority of this research is dominated by respondents who live in DKI Jakarta by 88.6%. Last is purchase frequency that shows the majority of respondents do purchase with a frequency of 3 times in a week. Next, from the statistical descriptive analysis, we can see that the label I2 has the smallest mean with the highest standard deviation. On the other hand, the taste has the biggest amount of the value of the mean. From this validity test, we can see that since our count is higher than our table and significance higher than 0.05, then all the items are considered valid. From the reliability test, it can be seen that since the Cronbach alpha is higher than 0.06, then it can be concluded as reliable. From the classical assumption test, we can conclude that it doesn't have multicollinearity and doesn't occur heteroskedasticity. Also, it can be seen from the normality test that the data listed can be said as normally distributed because the asymptotic value is higher than 0.05. Next is multiple linear regression. Based on the R-square, it can be seen that the product innovation variable simultaneously influenced purchase intention by 51.4%, and from the F-test, it can be concluded that product innovation variable simultaneously affects or influences purchase intention. From the t-test, it can be seen that there are only 5 dimensions that concluded as a significant influence on purchase intention. However, to make the research more accurate, researchers repeated the R-square and then the t-test calculation with removing 2 lowest dimensions such as value and licensing and compatibility. The result tells that there is an increase in the amount of influence and an additional dimension received. In this discussion section, researchers mainly will further discuss the hypothesis testing, especially reasons for accepting or rejecting a hypothesis associated with Gen Z or other things apart from the significant value result from the new t-test. Like example, for the first hypothesis, namely value, Gen Z has the characteristic of being explorative, adventurous, disloyal to the brand, easy to be influenced, and tend to try something new and unique. And from that, of course, it will make companies too difficult to predict their needs because they tend to choose food according to the desire, not the needs, and it always changes over time according to the situation. Therefore, first hypothesis, namely value, is rejected. For the second hypothesis, it is accepted because Gen Z likes innovative, creative, and unique things to satisfy their culinary experience. So it means unique products will quickly stimulate the attraction of Gen Z, and that's also why the second hypothesis is being accepted. Third, Gen Z has the characteristics of being indifferent, apathetic, individualistic, and egocentric, meaning that they only pay attention to what is in front of them, namely the product itself or the culinary itself. It is the reason why Gen Z will not pay attention to what is not their business, such as whether the product is difficult to imitate by competitors, legality, company management, and so on. That's the reason why the third, fourth, and then the ninth hypothesis were rejected, because the hypothesis talks about what Gen Z feels is not important to see. Next, for the fifth hypothesis, taste was accepted because, as previously said, Gen Z is very explorative and highly appreciates their culinary experience, so they will choose a culinary that is suits their taste. Also, when the food is delicious, they will recommend it on their social media, such as Instagram and TikTok. Thereby, it will increase the possibility of purchase intention from other consumers. That's why it is accepted for increasing purchase intention. Lastly, from this slide, the 6 and 7 hypotheses were rejected because when Gen Z want to look for culinary delights with attractive plating, Gen Z will look for Gen Z will look for this in fine dining, not in MSMEs. Also, for portion, Gen Z tends to eat small portion, and the portion itself are subjective because it relates to stomach capacity, which, of course, everyone will be different. So that's why both of these hypotheses are rejected. Then jump to the next slide. The result which is accepted also occurs in the hypothesis 8, namely launch timing of product resulting from innovation affect purchase intention. Hypothesis 11, distribution, 12, which is marketing, 13, which is branding, and also hypothesis 14, which talks about customer service, because Gen Z are easily influenced by the trend and social influencers love effectiveness and always looks for comfort. Finally, the last chapter is conclusion and recommendation. Answering the first user's question, does product innovation affect purchase intention in the MSME food and beverage industry? It can be concluded that simultaneously, product innovation significantly affect purchase intention with the amount of 73.5%. Partially, the dimension of product innovation that significantly affect purchase intention are taste and rarity on factor creation, then customer service, marketing, launch timing, distribution, and branding on the deployment factor. Answering the second research question, how is the effectiveness of product innovation on purchase intention in the MSME food and beverage industry? These are the ranks from the most effective to the least effective. In addition, ranks 1 to 7 are effective and a priority to be done. Then, the recommendations suggested in this research are first, for future researchers to pay attention to the similarity of the characteristic of the respondent, location, and time period. It then uses the result from the new t-test and change the indicators from the dimension if it necessary. Second, for culinary MSMEs to also pay attention to the similarities in characteristic, location, and time period, and it is advisable to continue conducting market survey. As a closure, I would like to thank everyone for paying attention. I feel very happy and very honored to be able to participate in this conference. Hopefully, it can be useful. So once again, thank you very much. I'm Wolo. See you next time. Bye-bye.